What's up, everybody? I am back with another episode of Sessions with Mary Jane. I'm your host, Jordan Freed, and we are fried, and we are here. It is spooky season, October, and I figured I'd have a very special solo episode for you today, because I used to be the host of a podcast known as Movies, Cinema, Film, and it is the Halloween season for another 11 days. So I figured I would go through some horror movies, some of Jordan's picks for horror movies. I figured I would just go down my letterboxd and we'll just dive into some deep cut horror movies, some horror movies I like, some horror movies I didn't like that some people might be highly rated on Letterboxd. And yeah, just give you guys some recommendations to watch 11 movies for the next 11 days. I'll give you more than 11 picks so that you could narrow them down by the streaming services you have and the ability to actually watch these, because some of them are kind of obscure and kind of weird. But before we get into that, I just want to say I have a very big and special show coming up this Saturday, October 25th. I am going to be making my return to the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey. I've said it 100 times, but I worked there for a year and a half, putting on shows, festivals, all kinds of things. And I'm going to be opening for Michelle Trena, doing a rendition of her Divorce Diaries one-woman show. So come out to that show. It's your opportunity to basically see what I've been working on. And I'm in my hometown, so this will be fun for me to be able to walk to a show if it's not too cold outside. And the Williams Center is really a joy to see comedy shows at. Spring Hall is one of the ideal venues. It's just a great theater setting. They have a great bar that's not too overpriced. There's not a 2-drink minimum, so just come out, grab tickets on the Williams Center ticket web. You could just search Michelle with one L, Trena, Traina, Williams Center on Google, and the ticket web link should come up. I'll also have a link, I think, in the bio below in the description. So check that out. I've done one show at the Williams Center since my departure. I was on a Freak Out showcase. That's kind of a queer showcase cultivated by Donna V and Francesco Palladino. Shout out to them for putting on a great show. So I'm excited to be back about 6 months later on a different show with different people. And yeah, it's going to be a great, great time. So I am going to dive into horror movies. Now, this is a stoner podcast. And I think marijuana, cannabis goes really well with horror movies, you know? Weed can make you feel a lot of different ways. Personally, I love being a little high when I watch movies. I feel like it helps me focus. The colors all look amazing, and you just feel the emotions a little bit deeper, even if it's a random time or a random part of your day. And it really helps me be present for watching movies. Specifically for horror movies, I feel like marijuana can affect you in many different ways, you know? When you're watching horror movies, weed could be a way to make you more frightened, you know? Which is the aspect of horror that most people go to. They go to be frightened. It is a horror movie and they want to be horrified. But then there are other reasons to smoke weed during horror as well, because horror movies are very funny as well. So if you're a little high, you're going to get the giggles a little bit more. I also personally like psychological horror films, you know, things that dig you down deep with the emotions, real deep sadness, and paranoia. And those are also feelings that you could feel from being stoned all the time. So weed, horror movies, a great combination. Just a little background on me and my experience with horror movies is I would watch horror movies growing up, but not very often. Like, it would be more like I would see them on TBS, TNT, something like that. And I would be like, oh, that's a horror movie. I'm going to watch that. Or some of the horror movies that were made for kids or something along those lines. But I had a trouble as a kid when I would watch horror movies and I could not suspend my disbelief. I was just like, this is stupid. This isn't actually happening to them. This isn't scary. This is funny. The acting is bad. And it was tough for me to get into horror movies. Like, I think I was exposed to the Human Centipede trilogy, and I just thought it was hilarious. I was just like, this is so absurd. This would never happen. This is completely crazy. Some of the things that happen in this are wacko. I am not actually believing that these people are real people that would actually be in this real situation. So I think it took seeing horror movies like Get Out and the Ari Aster wave of horror movies to start realizing that there's different types of horror movies. Not everything is like a corny acted slasher film. Not everything is a creature film with poor special effects that are unrealistic, especially as CGI got greater and greater as my life has grown older and older. Horror movies have become more believable. They've been more grounded in reality, and they've shifted away from being like bizarro stuff that could never actually happen to what you could actually believe happening, like stories that you hear from people, you know, folk legends of things that supposedly actually happened in real life. So I really didn't start getting into horror movies until later in life, when I was in college, most likely. And ever since, I've been trying to go back and watch horror movies from the past and try to acquaint myself with the classics of horror, foreign horror. I do enjoy some foreign horror as well. And yeah, this kind of brings me to my recommendations. So I'm going to get my genres on Letterboxd out. If you're listening right now and you want to follow along on Letterboxd and like look at my Letterboxd, my username is jfreeze, like it is on everything. JFREEEZE. So that's 3 E's in the middle. And yeah, we're gonna organize this list by most recent to most aged of the horror films. So if you want the classics, you could skip ahead maybe 20 minutes or so. But yeah, I figured we'd start with the movies that are coming out now and have come out recently that are actively available on streaming services, so that you guys could check those out and kind of be in the conversation of what's going on now. I am just going by Letterboxd, so these are all the films on Letterboxd that I've watched that they qualify as horror films. I may not agree with all of these, but you know, horror is a wide genre, so I'm going to dig into that wide genre and try to figure out what is horror, what is my type of horror, what is your type of horror, the viewer. I'm sure I'm going to miss a lot too. I am just a mortal man, although I watch hundreds of hours of movies every week to prepare for my life. I miss some movies, so don't get mad at me if I miss some movies. You could definitely shout me out in the comments if they have comments on these things. You could leave a review and comment on this. Please make it 5 stars, but yeah, leave a review if you want to have yourself heard, and give me a little subscribe and follow and share this out to people if you know they're horror movie fans. Hopefully you'll have some recommendations that you've never heard before. That was a good gulp. Good gulp. All right. So we're going to start with 2025 movies. these are movies that I've seen kind of recently, most likely, and, I'm just going to give my honest takes after watching them one time. I saw The Long Walk recently. I thought it was a great film. The concept and premise is not very exciting based off of just listening to it. You're just like, oh, these guys are just going to be walking the entire movie. Like, how could that really be interesting? And yeah, it basically was them walking. A lot of things can happen while you walk a long distance, apparently. They walk a very long time. And I think the deaths were surprising. I think they were warranted. I think the characters are likable enough that you actually want to watch this. You get a great performance by Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, Cooper Hoffman, which this is definitely more my type of role for him. I wasn't a big fan of Licorice Pizza between you and me, the audience right now, so it was kind of cool to see him in this role. I also saw him in The Curse of the Starving Class, the Sam Shepard play, and he was really amazing with that. So he's definitely figuring out his own personal style. Like, he does have the genetics of a goat. So we're kind of watching him become one of the great actors in front of our eyes. And it's a beautiful time because this was a great role for him. And all of the side characters, the supporting cast, were just fantastic. Everybody knew what their assignment was. It was kind of in an ambiguous future past. It felt like it was the past, but I think it was supposed to be set right now. So that was interesting as well. They had David Johnson in it, who was great in Industry. Yeah, big fan of the two leads. And all the side characters were pretty good. Mark Hamill had a big role in this film, so it was kind of good to see him out there. And yeah, I'm not a big Stephen King fan, but obviously in October you gotta be a Stephen King fan. Like, there is no option. You have to like him. So this was good to see a Stephen King adaptation. You need it. It's October. And yeah, the deeper message behind it of, do people really have an option to serve their country and go to war? And like, why would you go to war if you knew that 99 out of 100 people might not come back, or people might come back with mental damage? And I think that kind of shows everybody has their own reasons to serve their country, as all of these people felt like they were doing when they did The Long Walk. So yeah, I thought it was a good metaphorical film. I thought it was well shot, and the performances were great. It had a lot of gross out horror, a lot of tension, psychological, thrilling natures, and I gave it a 4.5 on Letterboxd. So I don't know. It depends on how like depressed in life I am, I think, whether or not I'm giving good ratings on Letterboxd. Like, if you catch me through a depressive patch of life, then I think I'm giving lower scores on Letterboxd. But I've been feeling good lately, so we're just gonna give some good ratings out. Next up was another great film of this year, one of the best films I saw this year so far, Weapons. This is Zach Cregger's follow-up to Barbarian, which we might talk about later, so stay tuned and stick around. And yeah, this was just kind of psychological, not to spoil anything, but it's a little witchy as well. I'm probably going to spoil a lot of these movies, so, maybe skip ahead. A lot of these movies are going to be old once we get after a certain point. Like, even this year, if you haven't seen Sinners yet, like, what are you waiting for? It's on all of the streaming platforms. Now it's October. Like, get into vampire season already. But back to Weapons, Zach Cregger. It's just wild that guy from The Whitest Kids You Know just makes some of the best horror movies right now and makes interesting high concept films. I think he's doing Resident Evil next, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm pretty sure that's zombie type shit. I don't even know. I should have done more research on Zach Kreger. But this movie was great. I did not know where it was going. I think I like the kind of twisting of the perspectives. That was an interesting move if you like stories that are told from multiple points of view. Julia Garner, she's great. She's just a great actress. I've been going back and watching a lot of her films and TV. I obviously loved her in Ozark. But this is definitely a must-see for 2025. Like, what are you waiting for? You know, people are talking about it. There's maybe 5 must-watch movies of the year, and this is one of them. So get out and see it. Also, once again, it has great horror, but it also has great comedy. This guy was a comedian first. So there's always those like light tones and comedic violence to Zach Kreger's style. And I really appreciate that because I don't want a downer when I'm watching movies. I want something that makes me feel good and makes me forget life, you know? Not everything has to be a downer. Some of these are going to be downers for sure, but not everyone has to be a downer. So next up, we are going to get to a film that is in a trilogy or just a franchise. I don't know if it's, could you call it a trilogy if they're making another one? And now that would make 4 films, a quadrilogy, as we like to call it, quadrilogy. But this is going to be 28 years later. So I'm not going to talk about the other movies because those come way back in time when we're going to be further into our list. But this was an amazing follow-up. If you haven't seen the first 2, I would say go see the first 2. This was kind of cool to see how they've moved on from the infected, and they had an isolated community, which is kind of what you want to see, you know? You want to see that people do survive and they could live well, because the first 2 movies are horrifying. They're absolutely terrible, and they make you really fear if a blight and rage virus took us over. But this was a great follow-up because it has the aspect of curiosity that we all have with scary and frightful things. Like, people tell us not to do something, and then we end up doing something. So going to the mainland, you're like, why? Why would anybody go to the mainland? And I think they explain it a little bit why they go to the mainland, but most of the time it's just to kind of feel a thrill and feel what life used to be like and show their offspring that there is more of a world outside of this secluded paradise. But yeah, it turns into such a crazy movie. And I'm not going to lie, I watched a very late night version of this film, a late night screening of this film, so I was kind of sleepy during it. And that's an issue with horror films, is you try to watch them at night, and when you watch them at night, you're always tired. And especially if you get a little stoned, you might drink a beer if you're chilling at home or you're at one of those theaters that has alcohol at them. And it's really not a good formula for remembering a movie and seeing an entire movie. But I remember loving this movie. I might not remember all the details from it. If you haven't seen it already, watch it. Watch 28 Weeks Later. Watch 28 Days Later. They're going to be later on our list. We'll talk a little bit more about them as well. But yeah, I don't love zombies. Zombies are not one of my favorite things, but I do love Danny Boyle zombies. Give me more Danny Boyle zombies. Mainline them to my wrist or whatever the fuck this is, my fucking veins, and get me some more of that. I am into it. Next up, we're going to go to Sinners, which was another gem of the year. Notice how I started out with 4 bangers. Like, these were all some of the best movies of the year. Horror is one of the main things that Hollywood is investing in right now. So you're really starting to see these original ideas or these original ideas that now have franchises come out of the woodworks. And I guess The Long Walk isn't an original idea either, because it came from a book. And Weapons isn't really an original idea because it came from Zach Kreger's dreams. But who's really checking this podcast? Nobody fact checks this. This is all just bullshit. And you're just listening because you're a little sad in the middle of the night right now. Or maybe you're on a morning commute, or you're jogging or something. I don't know. Listen to more of the podcast. Why not? Sinners was amazing. It had some twin stuff. You know, it had some vampire stuff. It had some Southern stuff. It was shot, I think, in New Orleans. Shout out New Orleans. I had some friends who worked on this film. It's just gothic vampire bullshit, like, done so amazingly. And it's like black vampires, so you don't see that shit very often if you ever have seen it before. Also, Ryan Coogler, I'd watch anything that he made. Seriously, like, ever since Fruitvale Station, I've been sold, and I will watch anything Ryan Coogler does. And also, Ryan Coogler kind of hacked the system, because he gets Michael B. Jordan to act in all of his films. So I was already a fan of Wallace, and I was already a fan of, I think Michael B. Jordan's name was like Vince in Friday Night Lights. I have already been a fan of Michael B. Jordan and would watch Michael B. Jordan in whatever he is. But no, Ryan Coogler has to team up with somebody who I'd already watched when I'd already watched him. You know, you guys could be having me watch more movies. You know, Ryan Coogler, I would watch any movie. You could do twice as many movies if you can't get Michael B. Jordan to be in the film. Michael B. Jordan, if you did more films without Ryan Coogler, I would watch those films too. You know, you guys can separate a little bit. I know you guys don't do that very often, but you can. I would still watch both of your stuff. You guys can be safe and secure that I will watch it if you're not together. But this is an amazing film. Just a vibe film, you know? I definitely will probably give it a rewatch. Perhaps, per se, sometime this month if I don't get too bogged down with having to watch other horror movies. But wow, this was just an amazing gem. And a special thing, a Southern thing, a black thing, cool shit. Thank you, Ryan Coogler. I'm glad you own the rights to this after a certain amount of time, and you'll own it for generations as they make sequels and spin-offs and remakes of this shit. All right. Now we're going to get to my first film that I did not necessarily love. But we got to have a discussion right now. All right. What is a medium rating on Letterboxd? Okay? What is a medium rating? Would you say 3 stars is the medium rating? Because it is the middle amount of stars? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Or would you say 2.5 is the medium rating because you are 2.5 value into 5 value? This is a really mathematic question, a philosophical question, but if you're listening this far into the show, I'd really like to know. So let me know. I'll probably ask this in the poll for the episode. It might be too complex for a poll in the episode. Maybe I'll just put this out as a little TikTok reel or a short on YouTube, and you could let me know in the comments. What is a medium rating on Letterboxd? Is it 2.5 or is it 3? So this brings me to a 2.5. This is going to be Osgood Perkins, the monkey. Unfortunately, I don't think I get Osgood Perkins. Maybe you should crucify me. Maybe you should get at me, but I don't really get his movies. I'm going to talk about Longlegs a little bit later, but I don't get why he's being anointed as the next horror guy. That's not to say I don't think he has very interesting ideas and he doesn't make really well-made movies, but sometimes his decisions baffle me, and they take me out of the film a little bit by taking the realism out of the film, and they're kind of concocted off of bizarre premises. That's not to say people aren't amazing actors in his films, but I just get taken out of it. Like the monkey, how is this stupid monkey moving? I'm already taken out of the film because it's just not realistic. Like, if people naturally got the monkey, the fucking clapping monkey, if they got him naturally every time, I would have believed it. But there's just too much supernatural moving of the monkey. It just wasn't possible to happen to my understanding of the universe. So I couldn't hold and suspend my disbelief for this film. And I know that sounds stupid, like it's a horror movie. Of course you're gonna have to suspend your disbelief. But if I'm gonna believe that this fucking clapping monkey makes people die in insane ways, which is just kind of a ripoff of Final Destination, I want the monkey to be put there by a person. I want it to actually be moved in ways that are realistic. I don't want it to be like, we buried the monkey, but somehow the monkey's out here and you don't know how it dug itself out. No, I don't want to see that. Please. All right, I'll move on from that because I don't want to talk too much on stuff that I don't really like, because this is a movie recommendation podcast, okay? I'm going to talk about some movies that I might have had some disputes with, but maybe you have to watch them because I might be wrong with all of this. You might think I'm an idiot, and I hope you listen if you think I'm an idiot. That's one of the main reasons to listen to this podcast, is listen to how dumb I am and want to argue with me and think about how your viewpoint is different than mine. That is critical thinking, and that's what America is all about. That's what Charlie Kirk got murked for. All right, that's the only time we're ever going to mention Charlie Kirk on this podcast. All right, next up is another banger from this year. I gave it 5 stars because it has my fucking goats in this, like the people who I love right now and have loved for many years, but I'm going to talk about Opus. Now, if you haven't seen Opus, go find it. It is a really good movie for our times. Like the times of not having real journalisms, not having real press. It's like, this is what journalism and press is now. Now it's just a journalist only goes to where they are paid to go, where somebody tells them, you're being paid, you have press passes, we'll provide you with a cushy buffet, we'll provide you with a nice hotel, like you'll get access to the star, they'll say the things that we want. And it really talks about the horror and the cult of celebrity and how we are obsessed with celebrity, perhaps less than we used to be obsessed with celebrity. That might be an interesting topic to delve into a little bit. Like, do we still have celebrity in the same way? Are people's 15 minutes of fame being cut down to 5 minutes of fame? Like, people could be viral for 4 years straight and then disappear out of existence in the public consciousness. So while we might think that celebrity is still a thing, like, there's not really young actors who are Brad Pitt-like. There aren't really musicians who have this status anymore, with the exception of the Taylor Swifts of the world, who are the very small percentage. There's not really big stars. Like, Bad Bunny is an international star, and he's doing the Super Bowl and all that shit. But it's not common anymore. There used to be tons of stars, and yeah, they would change with the times as well, but it was easier to control who the public consciousness thought were the stars. If they weren't put on TV, then they weren't stars. If they weren't in the major movies, then they weren't stars. But now, Hollywood or the man or the powers that be can't really control celebrity anymore. The only thing that can control celebrity is press and how much access somebody gets and how much of this internet wave of amateur journalism, professional journalism, TikTok journalism, Twitter journalism, like Facebook posts, Reddit posts. This all contributes to our understanding of celebrity now. And I think Opus really explores the celebrity and how susceptible we are to feeling something real. Like, this is why people still go to live music. They want to feel something. They want to feel something real. And seeing celebrities in person, I think, makes people feel something. They feel more connected to the art that they watch on TV. They feel like there is a higher power in the room, this familiarity that you don't really have with a person, but you still feel that familiarity. And I think that's an interesting concept, and we'll delve more into it. Kind of the idea that there is no gatekeeper to virality. And there kind of are gatekeepers, because major publications have to pick up your thing to actually be viral now. Like, did the New York Post do an article on your TikTok? Did you go viral on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram? Are you starting to get invited onto podcasts? Are you being exposed as being a viral sensation? But, you know, you might talk about somebody who you think is wildly famous, and people don't even know who they are, because everything's so segmented in the media landscape that it doesn't really matter. So Opus really dives into the idea of celebrity. Ayo Edebiri, she's just the best. She's in everything that's great now, and she has been in everything that's been great the last few years. She's just a great comedian. I've seen her live. I was actually on mushrooms at at Solid Sound up in Massachusetts when I saw her. And yeah, she was hilarious regardless of my mushrooms, and I would watch any film with her. And John fucking Malkovich. Shout out to Johnny Hollywood's twin, if you're a New Jersey comedy person listening in. That's actually a really throwback joke. I don't even know if he tells that joke anymore. He'll be honored that he was mentioned in something. I'm Johnny Hollywood. I look like John Malkovich. No one wants to fuck John Malkovich. But I love John Malkovich, and it's hilarious that they make him a pop star. That's kind of the most unbelievable thing about this, is like, who is he being modeled after in Opus? Like, is he being modeled after like an Elton John? Like, is he being modeled after a Jared Leto type character? I don't really know who he's being modeled after, but it's just bizarre, and the horror is really great horror. I feel like good horror doesn't just beat the same deaths to death, if that makes sense. You know, they just kill the people how they want to kill them, and they do the scary stuff that's going to happen, and then they move on. And then they don't like be like, oh, it's happening again. It's happening again. Oh my God, it's happening again. Like, I like horror that's just like, this fucking happened. Now this is happening. Now this is happening. And this is all different. And you didn't see any of it coming. Now we're going to get to a movie that has a soft spot in my heart, because I am in love with my cell phone, and I'm in love with AI in general. And this movie is Companion. This was the AI love story of the year, or last year. I don't even know what year we're in. I think we're getting into the year before. But Companion was great. The performances were amazing. I don't know. I think we're going to have a lot of AI horror films, but I feel like this kind of hit the kind of sweet spot of AI is getting there. But it's not there yet. Like, we're almost at the point where AI is taking over. And the actress, Sophie Thatcher, is also in Heretic, which was also an amazing horror movie, which I just watched recently. So kudos to Sophie Thatcher. 2 bangers. She knew how to pick them this year. Like, actors don't really have that much of a decision when they're like at a certain level of fame. You know, you kind of just have to take what you get. But she got super lucky, and she killed the fuck out of these movies. Companion was just great. Just great stuff. It's just her on steroids. It's like her, it's a more realistic her. That's what Companion is. So definitely check that if you haven't yet. And then I alluded to Heretic. That's not technically the next one on our list, but you know, we'll go to that one. The Mormon horror story of the year. Um, I didn't think I needed a Mormon horror story, but I did, and it was great. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Everybody is super, super fucking convincing in it. Hugh Grant is just a G. It's just a G that he decided to do this film. Like, get the fuck out of here. This is an amazing film. I really wanted to, meet his wife earlier in the film. I felt like she could have been a good element to the film, but the film went how it went. And I think also it's just a satire and kind of investigation of religion in general. Like, do you actually believe? What does it mean to believe? I can't speak highly enough about Heretic. It took me so long to watch it, but people kept saying it's great. I keep listening to other podcasts and they say it's great. And boy, was it great. Damn. Now we're going to get into our second vampire film of the night. Well, this is morning or afternoon or whatever the fuck time it is. Nosferatu. I personally only knew Nosferatu from SpongeBob. The clicking lights. Nosferatu! But yeah, this film was disgusting. Like, the makeup and hairstyling and costumes were absolutely putrid. It was terrible. So I think they did a great job. I believed it. Lily Rose Depp, shout outs. The Skarsgård that was in this. Let me see what Skarsgård it was. Do you guys know what Skarsgård it is? Bill Skarsgård. All right. Yeah, he was also great in it. Nicholas Hoult, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Damn. That it was just a great film. If you don't like creepy, gross stuff, you're not gonna like this. I kind of like that it's kind of a historical one, with all of the rats and shit. I don't know if that's a spoiler. Did you guys know there's rats in Nosferatu? There's vampires, but rats. Yeah, I will preface, if you haven't seen it, Nosferatu does look like the villain from Sonic that Jim Carrey plays. So try not to think about that when you watch the movie. Otherwise, it's going to be really funny as opposed to scary. But definitely check that one out. It's a truly Halloween film, because it's disgusting. Like I said, I don't like to think about the images that are in this film. It just makes me feel gross. It's very Sweeney Todd-esque. But yeah. Nosferatu. All right, we're moving on. The next film coming to the stage is a sequel. Smile 2. Shot in the Hudson Valley, I think. I did see some familiar faces in this, or maybe I saw familiar faces in the first one. I don't know. I saw some of my background friends in Smile and Smile 2. But Smile 2 was a great follow-up to Smile. It made me smile that I watched it. Hold on one second. I'm a little hot in here. The studio actually has really great heat in here. Oh, wow. That was a little scandalous. Yeah, but Smile 2, I love the concept of it. Like, once you see the fucking smile, you're fucked. How is my smile? Did I scare you? I'm auditioning for Smile 3 right now. Whew, all right, I'm getting there. Well, let me try again. All right, this is good stuff, This is all for the sake of content. We're all content with that content. Yeah, but Smile 2 was great. Lucas Gage, such a good actor. Shout out to Lucas Gage. I'll watch almost anything that he's in. He's hilarious. He's in some horror stuff. He's in some funny stuff. He's in some serious stuff. Good actor out there. And also we had Jack Nicholson's son. So that guy's fucking scary. Well, those were my takes on Smile 2. I hopefully don't actually have the Smile disease. That's also another thing about this podcast. I'm going to try to make it as haunted as possible. Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Yeah. So you'll get some more threatening things. But we're going to move on to a movie that was not that scary. This next horror movie is, I don't even know why it's called a horror movie. Actually, the next 2 horror movies are not really horror movies, but we'll dig into them anyway. I'm going to get into Night Bitch. Amy Adams. Such a weird fucking movie, but I love this movie. It was great. I love the dog shit. I don't love dog shit. I love the shit that was about dogs. Yeah, and I'm not a mother. I don't have kids. I had a mother, have a mother. But I don't know what it's like to be a mother. I know a lot of mothers, but I do not know what it's like to be a mother. And I hope this was accurate because this movie rocks. And I thought it was great. It was obviously funny in a lot of parts. Yeah, very tongue-in-cheek, like what a mother's actually thinking type film. And I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was directed by Marielle Heller, so hopefully it is accurate because a woman made it. And I'm assuming she has kids if she made this movie because I assume that somebody who made this movie thought about murdering their children at some point, but just laughed it off, you know, like the casual, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have kids? But yeah, this movie was not that scary. It was more creaturey and kind of supernaturally and kind of psychological. But yeah, we'll just talk about it anyway. The next up is The Piano Lesson, which was another August Wilson adaptation from August Wilson's plays. And yeah, it was good. It was a Washington son. Malcolm Washington made this one. And John David Washington starred in it. And so did Samuel L. Jackson and Danielle Deadwyler. And this is not really a horror movie either. I guess it's a horror, like racism is a horror movie for sure. For sure, 100% racism, especially in Jim Crow South and in slave times, was a horror story. But yeah, it was more of just a drama to me. Maybe I'm misremembering the film, but yeah. I thought the film was good. I gave it a 3.5 stars, which based off of our discussion before is an above average film. I rated it 3.5 stars and it has an average of 3.3 stars. So I like this film more than the average film. Yeah, just good job. Malcolm Washington. I feel like you could have a marathon of all of the August Wilson stuff. And just watch it straight through. And it's just like a creative interpretation of August Wilson, who's one of America's greatest playwrights. And I think it's just cool. Obviously, Denzel has a lot of relation to August Wilson plays. He's done Fences. He's done shit on Broadway. What are the other ones he's done? I don't know. Like fucking Denzel Washington, the Washington family, they got a lot of connections to August Wilson, so it's cool to see that. Even though it's not a horror film, I'm glad I could shout it out. Next up, we're going to do Trap, which surprised me. It was actually a really great film. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be good or great. I gave it 3.5 stars because the premise is kind of a little lackluster. But check it out if you're just looking for a mindless film that its downside is not really bad. Like, you might not think it's a great film, but you're not going to be like, this film is terrible. I can't believe they made this film. Why did they make this film? Like, no, this is a film that definitely deserved to be made, and it has good qualities to it. And it is kind of realistic. It's just like, yeah, what if there was a notorious serial killer who was just at a Taylor Swift concert and the Taylor Swift concert was set up to catch this notorious serial killer? Yeah, I think this film was good. It's not like it's a classic or anything, but I would watch it if it came on in TBS, if we were in like the 2000s. I would definitely watch this film. But I'll move on from that. I already said I didn't really like Long Legs that much. Not to denigrate Micah Monroe, because I love her and I think she's an amazing actress. Shout out to her in Honey Boy. And I'm sure she's been in a lot of other things. What else has she been in? What else, Micah Monroe? She's been in Hot Summer Nights. What do I really like her in? There's something I really like her in, but I can't find it right now. Yeah, I don't know. I like her. But I don't necessarily, I'm not a big fan of this film. It does have my girl Kiernan Shipka in it. Worked with her on Sweethearts for a little bit. Played beer pong with her in a scene. Was the movie bad? No. And like I said before, Osgood Perkins makes very well-made films. I just don't think he's scared by the same things I'm scared by, and I just don't think he's interested by the same things I'm interested in. Like, I feel like there's some horror directors that I'm going to talk about today that I'm just like, yeah, like, you made the exact horror movie I wanted to see. Like, this is what I am scared by. This is what I'm interested in exploring more. And then sometimes I'm just going to have people who I'm just like, this isn't really my taste whatsoever, and I don't know why you made this. And that's kind of how I felt with Long Legs. Maybe I misunderstood it a little bit. But yeah, it wasn't so scary. Like, Nicolas Cage is creepy, but not scary. And I think that was kind of the issue with it. Next up, we're going to get to another trilogy. This one is Maxxxine, T. West's third installment. And it was just great. I don't know if we're going to get too deep into X, Pearl, and Maxxxine on this podcast per se. But I just love them all. T. West trilogy is great. They all work together. And I think that's the good thing about creating bulk. Is it's like when you create bulk, it's for moments like this. It's like, we are in October. You're going to watch the T. West trilogy and get all of your fix of Mia Goth. She is just so spectacular as an actress. And this is really the main thing that she's been featured in. Like, she's been in a bunch of movies before, a good healthy, hearty handful of films, but this is really Mia Goth's, like, masterworks, is this character or progression of characters or switching of consciousnesses through these films. And yeah, I think I think this one was good. I just can't get over how good these films are. They're very good. I don't have too much to say on it because you either like these films or you don't. If you haven't watched this trilogy, like, what are you waiting for? You're listening to a horror movies podcast right now, so I'm assuming you're looking for recommendations. Fucking see X, Pearl, and Maxxxine. Like, what are you waiting for? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? All right. Next up, we're going to go into The Substance, which is just my type of horror. It has body horror. It has psychological horror. It's a little science fiction-y. It was talked about a lot last year. So many people saw it, but Demi Moore is just fantastic in it, and so is Margaret Qualley, and yeah, I think they just knocked it out of the park. I don't think it could have worked with anybody else. Not to be weird, but their body types work perfectly for it. It's like Demi Moore doesn't even look like she's that old, and doesn't even look like her body needs much work or much change, so I feel like that is kind of the funny thing about this entire movie, is like, it's based on the premise that a very, very beautiful 60-year-old woman or 50-year-old woman, how old Demi Moore is, wants to change her body when she looks better than almost every woman who exists at that age. But yeah, it was just amazing. It really defined 2024. A really special film, female filmmaker, which horror actually does have a lot of female filmmakers as we're going through these. Yeah, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it got pretty good critical responses. I think it won some Oscars and definitely got nominated for others. I don't know. We could argue, should Demi Moore have won the Best Actress nomination or Best Actress at the Oscars? Should it have been Mikey Madison? I don't know. It really depends on like what is more difficult, you know? They were both naked on set a bunch, which is very difficult as an actor. It's a very uncomfortable place to be in front of cameras and 20 crew members or however many crew members are there doing all of these things. Mikey Madison famously turned down her intimacy coordinator. Did that get her some political points in winning the award to be like, everybody uses intimacy coordinators, but she was really real and raw with her performance. And then the actual performance, like both of them did very well in just the normal dramatic scenes. Mikey Madison probably had a meatier part because Demi Moore only was in the film half of the time, so that might have also deterred people from voting for her as well. But these are all just theories. People might have just liked one movie better than the other. One thing about horror is it wasn't really seen as being a prestige type of film, so we are just now in the past 10 years seeing horror start to be known as a prestige film. With the exception of Silence of the Lambs, there's really no precedent for people seeing horror as being legitimately art-based and legitimately high culture. It's always been seen as low culture and something that is cheaply made. So we're kind of delving into this wave of critically acclaimed horror that we're probably going to see a lot at the Oscars this year. Like, I could almost guarantee there's going to be one or two horror films that get nominated for Best Picture just based off of what we've already talked about, whether it's 28 years later or whether it's Sinners, or whether it's Weapons. Those are all definitely films that have a shot to get nominated for Best Picture. So we'll see if any of those get nominated, and we'll see if horror films start to make their way into the art house world. The good thing about horror films is they have to be exhibited at film festivals, you know? So they've always been critically acclaimed by being at film festivals, but not always given awards or seen as the top films of the year. Like Get Out was really a film that changed that perspective and turned horror into more of a pop genre, more of a culturally relevant genre, and kind of defined the end of the Obama era, I think, with Get Out coming out when it did. But it's funny, we're about to get into Jordan Peele films a little bit sooner, or a little bit later in this podcast. But he kind of started this reimagining of horror, this renaissance of horror, this idea that horror can actually make money. So credit where credit is due. Next up, we're going to do Y2K. This is my fucking boy, Kyle Mooney. I love Kyle Mooney. I've watched his shit for like 15 years almost. Not 15 years. Probably 12 years. Since I was 18 in my dorm room watching Good Neighbor stuff. Then he ended up getting put on SNL after I was watching him on YouTube. And Brigsby Bear is an amazing movie. This is a little less amazing. I would not say it's a masterpiece, but it's edible. It's edible film. I'd watch it if it was just randomly on. Rachel Zegler is in it. Shout out to New Jersey's own Clifton native Rachel Zegler. Shout out. She's like my old time neighbor, I guess. I don't know. Maybe we had some overlap, but we probably didn't live in Clifton and Rutherford at the same time, but maybe. I don't know. This movie wasn't terrible. It didn't really stick out a lot. I thought it was just a comedy, kind of supernatural, kind of alien-y. And maybe that's the thing, is like aliens are kind of hard to scare me because I still have seen no signs of aliens. It's like outside of like Men in Black type aliens, I don't really like, we don't see these creatures walking amongst us. Everybody has phones. So I don't know. I'm not as in belief of aliens. I think the Y2K concept could have been used in a different way. I was excited that it was a Y2K film, but it just felt like it didn't live up to all of the possibilities. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting from a film that was Y2K, but I felt like something could have been better. But all the kids were good in it. It was a good ensemble movie. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars off watching it, so I think I had great enjoyment of it, but I think most people thought it was a stinker. So you could watch for yourself, you know? I think it's just like a good late night film, you know? If you're like, we might fall asleep, maybe watch it. Yeah, it wasn't unenjoyable. I didn't dislike it. It wasn't painful, but yeah, it wasn't a crazy hit. Next up, we're doing Lisa Frankenstein, the Zelda Williams film. Yeah, just an odd kind of Frankenstein story. It was interesting. Cole Sprouse, shout out The Sweet Life. Yeah, it was cool. I'm not a big Frankenstein head, but this film was good. It was good. I went to see it with Leah Russo, who was on the podcast earlier, I think, off her recommendation, because she was excited to see it. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about this film. I don't remember too much of it, and it didn't really have a huge impact on me. But, you know, if you're looking for more female-directed films, female-directed horror films, it's kind of like a horror romantic comedy, too, so maybe check that out. I don't know. I don't know what you like. I don't know who the fuck you are. Who are you guys? Who are you? All right. Next up is a personal favorite of mine. This movie has just grown on me more and more. I originally saw it late night in the theater, and I fell asleep during it. And then I had to watch it again at home, and oh my god, this is literally such a fucking masterpiece. I saw the TV glow. Oh my goodness. If you have not seen this film, you have to see this film, especially if you're a millennial. This is the epitome of millennial movies. This is the most like millennial movie I've ever seen. And it's just spooky and haunting and something that you should watch in your room late at night by yourself. I don't think a lot of people have made films that are meant to be seen at home and almost feel better at home and would feel better on your phone or feel better on your laptop. But this is the first one. I think Jane Schoenbrum killed this fucking film. Like, I was not familiar with their work. Upon watching this, I just seen the aesthetic of the film, and it's just a vibe. It's just so much is going on here. It's so deep, and Justice Smith is in it, who I'm a huge fan of him, and I think he picks very good works, and I think he's also a vegan, because I have seen him at a couple of vegan restaurants in the city, if we're talking celebrity gossip. But yeah, this movie was one of the biggest surprises of last year. I totally fucked with it, and I can't wait to see more of what Jane Schoenbrum's doing. Something about the fair. She has another film. What's it called? We're All Going to the World's Fair. I'm about to watch that later, so that should be interesting. Yeah, I don't know what else. Oh, wow. A Self-Induced Hallucination. Jane Schoenbrum's also known for doing a Slender Man movie. Yeah. Intriguing. Intriguing. Whew, a new filmmaker, Jane Schoenbrum. All right, we're moving on. This year was actually a great year for films. 2023, a lot of good shit. All right, Late Night with the Devil. I fucking love Late Night. I wish Late Night was still relevant. I wish that it wasn't just stupid and bullshit anymore. But this movie definitely brings you back to a time when, like, Late Night had value. Like, there was a production value to it. Like, when Late Night had sets that looked like Graham Norton instead of looking like Jimmy Fallon sets. Like, everything is so corporate. It's all about being so big and, like, lifeless. Like, I like Velvet. I like the old school sets of Late Night. And yeah, this was truly shocking. It was truly interesting. I fucked with this film really hard. This actor is really fucking good. David fucking Dastmalchian. I don't know how you pronounce his name. But he just goes in on this film. Like, this film really relies on him being a great character and being a great late night host. And yeah, you just strap in, and it's like the length of a late night TV show, which I'm assuming is purposeful. Just a gem. Check that one out if you haven't seen that. I really enjoyed that one. Next up is another 5-star from me. I thought this film fucking banged. Infinity Pool by Brandon Cronenberg, David Cronenberg's son. Holy shit. It was just such a good concept. Really fucking startling. It has amazing special effects. It's a satire or kind of conversation on the rich and powerful. It's a conversation on tourism and going to other countries. And it was just so special. I think I watched this late night at the Williams Center when I had to like babysit some event or something. And oh my God, this fucking film just blew me away. Definitely check it out. As we're going to see later in this, I fuck with Cronenberg. I don't usually like body horror. I don't usually like creature horror. I don't usually like gross out horror. But David Cronenberg is just a goat. Like, he has so many good films. And we'll get to those later. Next up is Smile 1. We already said Smile 2 was great. And Smile 1 is... I don't know if Smile 1 is better than 2. I think it might be a Godfather situation where Smile 2 is better than Smile 1. But I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But check out Smile. Seriously, check out Smile. If you guys don't remember, they marketed this fucking film by just buying seats behind the MLB catcher's box during the playoffs. Right behind the catcher, like those seats behind the backstop. And they just had somebody fucking smiling the whole time. That is such good marketing, and it's sick, and I'm surprised we don't see it more. I guess we saw it with It, where they had the creepy clowns that were showing up all over the world. But, wow. Smile 1, just as good as the second one, maybe better. Next up is The Menu, which is a satire horror about fine dining. This is a good companion piece to The Bear. This is, yeah. I feel like this is everything that Anthony Bourdain hated. Like, this is hilarious, just rich people filth. And I love that the rich people get what's coming to them and how the bullshit of fine dining is pointed out. Like, it's a tough thing as an artist. Like, do you think that people should waste money and spend overpriced amounts of money on luxury goods? You know? On the one hand, you're like, this is bullshit. People should be able to afford things. Like, everything should be affordable to most people. Like, you shouldn't make things cost prohibitive. But on the other end, I guess you could be like, expensive things are good for artists because they make artists allowed to make money. If the product does not cost a lot of money and it's not a luxury good, then the artist is going to continue not making money and being a broke and starving artist. Taylor Swift went from being a pop icon to being a luxury good. Like, you have to pay $1,000 to see Taylor Swift. It's like, that is a luxury good. There's a reason she's a billionaire. It's because she's the fucking Gucci, Versace of pop stars. Like, she is expensive as fuck to see, and people will pay that. So the menu goes hard. I'm down with it. Thank you for making the menu. Anya Taylor-Joy, you're good in this. Ralph Fiennes is good in this. Ray Fiennes, whoever the fuck. What Fiennes is this? Ralph Fiennes. Nicholas Hoult, again. Nicholas Hoult has been in a bunch of shit. He likes horror. Nicholas Hoult, come on the podcast. I heard you want to. All right. Now we're back into the T West trilogy. We're on to Pearl. Pearl was good. Yeah, this is probably my favorite out of the three. I like the kind of old-timey movie house vibes. I like the small town vibes where it's like you can't get out of your small town. I think that's like a super, super interesting concept. The deaths in this were very surprising and very sad. Great film. Great film. I've already kind of shouted out that you should watch all these. So yeah, watch it. X, Pearl, and then Maxxxine. Next up, we're going to do Zach Kreger's first feature-length film, Barbarian, which I just finally watched after all the hype for years and years and years. And boy, is it amazing. Oh my goodness. Such a great concept. Airbnb is kind of, and like, we don't really like Airbnb anymore, right? I don't know. What? Do we like Airbnb right now, or do we hate Airbnb? Regardless, I think a lot of people are starting to see the faults in Airbnb and like Airbnb less. And I think this is a great film to stir up public opposition. I don't know if that was the point of this, but it's kind of a funny thing. And I really enjoy this film. Everybody who acted in this was just fantastic. The creatures were fantastic. Even though it was very far out, it was very believable. So yeah, Barbarian is great. Great Detroit movie. I wonder if they actually shot it in Detroit. It's funny. I just think about this movie all the time when somebody tells me they like just moved into Newark. Like, I'm friends with a lot of actors, a lot of comedians, and people are trying to get closer to New York City, and they're just like, yeah, I just got this really cheap place in Newark. Like, I'm at this Airbnb in Newark. And I'm like, oh, what neighborhood are you in that you're going to Newark for an Airbnb? Like, are you about to get mugged when you get out? Like, is this a trap? Did they just put you there because they know that you're a tourist and you're just looking for a cheap place to stay? I'm not saying Newark's bad. I'm just saying, like, there are bad neighborhoods in every place. And, yeah, there's some places you could be in any neighborhood, and there's some places you can't be in any neighborhood. Next up is Nope. I think this is going to be considered one of Jordan Peele's best. Classic. Really delves into the idea of attention and having cameras all the time, and like, what is the point of life? Like, are we just trying to watch things? Are we turned on by the fact that we're being watched? Is the fact that we're being watched all the time on social media because we're being watched all the time by aliens above us, and that's just an evolutionary thing that we like we as humans like to be watched? But yeah, I like the fact that it went back and forth between like, who is watching who? Are we watching the aliens, or are the aliens watching us? Are we a danger to the aliens because we pollute space, or are the aliens a danger for us because they eat everything in sight? Even the aliens not having like a personality type thing where they were humanoid, I think made this film super interesting. And just Keke Palmer and the horse stuff. I just love this. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was good to see Daniel Kaluuya back at it again with Jordan Peele, where they both kind of became superstars in the film world with Get Out. But yeah, good stuff. Good freaking stuff. All right, next up is a film called Who Invited Them, and I don't fucking remember this movie, and I only gave it 3 stars. So I think I'm going to move on from this, but maybe check it out. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah. This is from 2022, so I probably watched it. I don't even know when I watched it. Do they have that on Letterboxd? When you watch something, do you have a log of when you watched it? No. I don't know. Who invited them? A movie that apparently I've watched. Next up is Men. Jesse Buckley's foray into horror. This was good. Alex Garland, he rarely misses. When he does miss, I still enjoy it. So I'm gonna give this a shout out. Men was good. Rory Kinnear, who plays Jeffrey, and a lot of other people. It was pretty just freaky. It's very British and weird. It's been watched by a lot of my friends on Letterboxd, and I like it way more than all of them. I think I'm one of the only people who gave it 3 stars out of my friends on Letterboxd. So I don't know. If you like Jesse Buckley, check it out. If you like English horror and that kind of European, like, oh, I live in the middle of nowhere and there's no one around and I can't be helped because I live in Europe and there's nobody to help us in Europe, then maybe watch this. All right. We're going along, guys. I have so many more films. No, we're moving. This is going to be one of the longest episodes ever, but who the fuck cares? Maybe I'll split it up into multiple episodes over the week or something like that. Because I did miss an episode this month, so maybe I'll give you guys a bonus episode or 2. All right. Next up is Bodies. Amazing cast. A who's who of the fucking people who are going to be in everything now. Myhala. Fuck, I can't pronounce her name. I'm an idiot. But she's amazing in fucking industry. Rachel Sennett is huge and normally just funny. Connor O'Malley is probably one of the funniest people on the planet. Pete Davidson at the peak of his powers. Chase Sweet Wonders. Also great, really funny. Yeah. Bodies is low-key good. Yeah, it's just trash. It's just really good trash. It's just like what you used to expect from an A24 film. Like, just has interesting people who are, you know them from somewhere. And yeah, I enjoyed like just the filth of just rich girls getting what's coming to them and rich kids getting what's coming to them and the stupidity of the film. Like, it was very funny. It was very horrific. Pete Davidson was probably at the peak of his fame. I think he was dating Kim Kardashian at the time of this movie. And then, yeah, it's somebody who's coming out with an HBO show, I Love LA, and somebody who's been on one of the best HBO shows for the past 5 or 6 years. So give this film a shout out. Connor O'Malley, you probably saw him in Friendship. He's just awesome. Next up is X. We've already talked a fuck ton about this, but this is the original. This is what got T West other money, I'm assuming, to make other movies. But yeah, Mia Goth, Scream Queen. She's the queen of all screams in the 2020s. So check that out. It's a great film. I don't have much else to say about that. I enjoy it. It's very slashery. But you got to watch the first. You got to watch it in order because you want to have a conversation with time. You know, just because you can watch the most recent version of something doesn't mean you should. You know, you should be historically accurate in your brain and know what came out first and be influenced the same way that the future artists were influenced. You know, don't watch from when I'm telling you about these films. Watch the later or the earlier films first, whatever came out further back in time first. Watch everything chronologically because that's how the director wanted you to watch them. Got it? All right. The next one up is some more steaming trash, but this is a very special piece of steaming trash. This is going to be the film known as Studio 666. Now, if you don't know about this film, this was a horror film made entirely composed of the Foo Fighters, where there are some demon murders and some spooky hauntings that happen to the Foo Fighters. And this film is terrible. This film would have no fucking value whatsoever if it wasn't the Foo Fighters. You gotta watch this. Like, David Grohl movies are great. The Pick of Destiny. I don't know what else David Grohl is in. The Pick of Destiny. Yeah. Go watch this movie. Also, R.I.P. Taylor Hawkins. He's in this. It's kind of spooky that he died very shortly after this film came out. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy and that the Foo Fighters had to make a devil's sacrifice to be in the Illuminati. I'm not saying that, but, watch the subject matter. Watch this film. It's very conspiratorial. It's very slashery. It's very psychedelic and weird. Yeah. It is kind of spooky and kind of trippy. Next up is Black Phone, which was a pretty good horror film. I don't know if it warranted having the sequel that it just got this year, but yeah. Ethan Hawke is very spooky and fucked up. The kid in this movie is very spooky and fucked up. But it's kind of just like child horror. Like, you're going to get kidnapped, buddy. Like, back in the time before phones, it was tough to know where your kids are. Good film, but not the greatest film. Next up is Last Night in Soho, which I generally like Edgar Wright films. This was a decent Edgar Wright film. Anya Taylor-Joy did alright in it. And same with Thomas and Mackenzie. They're both great horror actresses in their own rights. Yeah, this movie is kind of jumps in time. It's kind of supernatural. It kind of has an ode to history and the past. Not one of my favorite films, but I enjoyed it watching it, and I thought it was really well shot. So watch it for the good cinematography, the colors, the costumes, the time jumps, the retro feel. But don't expect this to be one of the best horror films you ever see. It definitely did not pull me in like that whatsoever. The next up is The Rental, which was Dave Franco's directorial horror debut, I think. It was a good film. Yeah, this was another Airbnb type story, so similar vein to Barbarian. I actually watched this during the pandemic at a drive-in, the Warwick Valley Drive-In. Shout-outs to the Warwick Valley Drive-In. Yeah, but he had his wife, I think, in this, right? He had his wife, Allison Brie. Yeah, he had his wife, so, it's going to be a banger. It was great, but also, forgettable. We'll move on. The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss. This movie is really good. I think she did a good job. It kind of has a real grounding to the time because it felt like it was kind of the Me Too era, and it was telling a supernatural psychological story through that kind of a lens. And I thought it was great. And it was during 2020, so a lot of people might not have seen it. I don't know if this was the first movie I went back to theaters to see, but it might have been. So definitely check that out. Next up is Relic, which I didn't really love this movie. It was kind of gross, kind of old people, elderly, witchy, kind of hag, horror. Not really my cup of tea, but I did watch it, and I gave it 3 stars, which might be average, depending on what you think is average on Letterboxd. But we're going to move on to some bangers. Midsommar is one of my favorite movies of all time. Ari Aster is really a gifted horror director, and I think this is his masterpiece. It's a daylight horror. It's a psychedelic horror. And it has a lot of actors at the peaks of their powers. It It also talks a little bit about like this idea of academic intellectualism stealing cultures and like what happens when you insert yourself into other people's cultures. And yeah, I just fucked with this movie really hard. I think it was iconic when it came out. I think this was a 2019 film. That is correct. And yeah, as somebody who does psychedelics at music festivals all the time, I really have been in this position before. And it definitely says a lot about relationships and the tensions that you might have in a relationship. All right, next up is The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers' film. So we've done a couple of Robert Eggers films. I think Nosferatu was a Robert Eggers film. But The Lighthouse is just masterful. Watch it on a rainy day if you've never seen it. Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson just go in on this. And it's just gothic and weird and fucked up and a time that, like, do we even have lighthouses anymore? Can't you just, like, automate all that shit? Are there actually guys who live in lighthouses in deserted towns? I don't know. But I definitely want to be one of those guys. I've always wanted to live in a lighthouse. So, yeah, check out The Lighthouse if you haven't seen that. This was also a very good year for horror, 2019. A movie that wasn't good was Velvet Buzzsaw. I was actually at the Sundance that this premiered, but I watched it on Netflix because they released it on Netflix the same day it was at Sundance. And this was a weird movie about art galleries. Maybe I don't understand the art gallery world enough to have understood this horror, but it was kind of just odd and didn't really seem cohesive to me. And Jake Gyllenhaal was Jake Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaaling it up. But definitely not one of my faves. Not one of my faves at all. Turns out I saw a lot of horror at Sundance this year. I'm going to go through 4 straight movies that I saw at Sundance right now. And I'm going to rank them in order from what I liked the most to what I didn't like the most. I loved Wounds, which did not age very well, I guess, because Armie Hammer's in it. But Armie Hammer's basically playing a Tulane frat bro who graduated and works as a bartender in New Orleans. And it was just awesome. I don't even know how this pales in comparison to other New Orleans movies. I don't know if it's one of the greatest New Orleans movies, but as somebody who had just left New Orleans a year and a half before, I miss New Orleans, and I really appreciated the cockroaches of New Orleans starring in a film. Dakota Johnson was also at probably the peak of her powers. Armie Hammer was at the peak of his powers. Zazie Beetz was at the peak of her powers, probably. Like, this was peak Atlanta. So to get them all together to make this film was super interesting. It was a great watch at Sundance. I watched it again to show my girlfriend afterwards. But I love that movie a lot. Regardless of Armie Hammer being a horror creature and cannibal in real life, outside of it, very good actor, but we don't have to talk too much about it right now. The next up is something else I saw at Sundance that year, which was The Lodge with Riley Keough. And I thought she was so convincing, and I thought this was so good. Yeah, it's really great stepmother, like My Mother's Gone type movie, bullshit, and I fucked with it hard. The child actors I thought were good in it. I was truly freaked out. Areas of psychological horror for sure. Yeah, and she is just one of the best actresses. I really appreciate her as an actress. Gets the job done. Next up is Hole in the Ground, which I didn't like that much, but I saw that at Sundance. This was another like kid being kind of supernatural and being disturbing. Yeah, we don't need to talk too much about this one. It wasn't that good. The movie after this was Koko Da, which was a foreign horror movie, and this shit kind of banged. Now that I'm thinking back to it, I only gave it 3 stars, but I actually really appreciated that film. I don't even know what it streams on. But yeah, it's like good European horror. I kind of fuck with it hard. Now we're going to kind of go through a speed round, I think, because you guys are probably getting a little tired. I'm getting a little tired of this concept. But Bird Box, it's going to get an I. Unsane, that movie I saw in theaters, pretty good. I think that's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, or no, Steven Soderbergh movie, and I think it was shot on iPhones. Jay Farrow is in it. Shouts to Jay Farrow, shouts to that movie. Steven Soderbergh, thanks for doing a horror movie. You did a decent job with the iPhones. I enjoyed it. Annihilation, another Alex Garland film. This one wasn't super scary. I guess it's like kind of sci-fi scary. But great Natalie Portman, great questions of supernatural warfare and warfare against aliens and stuff like that. If you like Alex Garland, you'll definitely like this movie. If you don't like Alex Garland, this might not be a good movie for you. Next up in our speed round is Hereditary, which, if you've been around horror and been watching horror the last few years, you know that this is one of the best horror films of the last 10 years. It just really started a trend as well. Toni Collette has one of her most iconic performances and has one of the most disturbed faces you'll ever see. But, yeah, it also had a naked brother in it. Yeah, I just thought this film was great. This was like one of the films that really got me starting to watch horror. Like I said, I started really getting into horror during college. So this was one of those movies that came out right after college, and I was ready for it. Next up is Gerald's Game, very mid Mike Flanagan movie, kind of a little BDSM shit going on, a little violence between spouses, psychological horror, I don't know. It's alright. Next up is Mother, Darren Aronofsky's film. And I don't know if I can speak on this because I don't think I ever finished it. I think I still had the big finish left. So I don't know how I rated this even though I didn't finish it, but you know, I thought it was a 4-star film before I finished it. Next up is It Comes at Night, which is A24, just killing it. 3 stars. Check it out. It was just from that era of A24 still taking a chance on filmmakers who may not have a big profile around them. Get Out, I talked about that already, but that kind of started the trend. And I enjoyed that movie a lot, and I think it's a classic. I think it's one of the best films of the 21st century, just between its cultural relevancy and its actual spookiness and its actual high concept. Yeah, what a great film. The Neon Demon was not that great, but I do love Nicholas Winding Refn, so shouts to it, you know? It's a model horror film about trying to look a certain way and trying to be a certain way. And yeah, it's kind of creaturey and supernatural. It's not one of the best films of the era, but it's a film. Train to Busan. Now that is a great film. It is a great Korean zombie movie. Definitely check it out. If you're willing to read subtitles, you will not be saddened. You will be so happy to watch this. Such a classic. And as I was getting more into Korean film, this was definitely a film that I was like, wow, they have a lot going on. It's not just Bong Joon-ho. Like they have a lot of directors making great films in Korea. Next up is Hell House LLC, which is actually, I think it's based in Rockland County, so that's just why I'm giving that a shout out. It's a very mid film, but it is a real ass horror film, and it was shot in Rockland County, so check that out. What if a haunted house was actually real? Ugh. Next up is The Green Room, or just Green Room, and R.I.P. I think this is one of Anton Yelchin's last films. You got to watch it just for that reason. It's an interesting concept that I've become more entangled with as I worked at a music venue that had gangs coming through and hardcore music and punk music coming through. But yeah, The Green Room is an interesting movie. It's very cinematic. It's truly scary because I think it's like, yeah, it's just the idea of being trapped at a venue, the idea of being in a venue with malicious people, very scary people, and I think that is something we could all relate to. Next up is The Witch, which was Robert Eggers' first major film. Amazing. Anya Taylor-Joy puts herself out there, and I think Thomasin McKenzie is also in this. No, she's not in this. Just Anya Taylor-Joy. But yeah, this is some good like Salem shit. I fuck with this hard. Yeah, it's just Robert Eggers kind of likes to shoot scary period pieces or period pieces from very long times ago. And this was just epic. I wish there was more witch stuff. Like the Blair Witch Project, obviously that's the biggest known found footage one. But this was just super, super cool. I need to give it a rewatch because I think I watched it a long time ago. But damn, good fucking shit. Tusk, that's a Kevin Smith horror movie, a Justin Long horror movie. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's also not terrible. I think it deserves a little canonization. Like Kevin Smith's films are always low budget. They're always a little out there. And given the podcaster world, I think that's very interesting that this movie follows a podcaster. One, like I said, not one of the greatest films ever. It's a 3 on my letterboxd. Whether that's average or not average, you could decide, but check it out if you're looking for another A24, another Kevin Smith, and yeah, Justin Long type shit. What We Do in the Shadows, I don't think that's really horror. I guess that's horror because they have vampires, but yeah, What We Do in the Shadows is a 5-star movie. It's one of the most funny movies of all time. Taika Waititi kind of putting himself onto the stage. If you haven't seen the movie, it's so fucking amazing. It's actually bizarre how amazing this film is. So I would check this film out, give it a watch. Even if you don't like vampires, it's just so fucking hilarious. And it has a show now, but like the show, you have to watch all the episodes, and there's multiple seasons, I think. But this is just one sit down. It's a short movie too. I think it's like 80 something minutes. 86 minutes. So check it out. It's really easy to watch. Yeah, good shit. Next up, which now we're in 2012. Next up is John Dies at the End, which when this movie came out, I was working at my local library, and oddly enough, I had read the book for John Dies at the End already, which was my foray into like horror books. The movie is definitely not as good as the book, so definitely read the book, John Dies at the End. But the movie does have some good cameos. Paul Giamatti is in the movie. And Clancy Brown is in the movie. Yeah. Check out this movie. It's fucking weird. It's just odd, and I'm not going to spoil any of it. Just enjoy it. If you're going to spoil the movie for yourself, read the book. That's how you should spoil John Dies at the End. Next up is Black Swan, another one of the greatest movies probably of the 21st century. Just Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis just giving the performances of the decade, possibly. This film is just so amazing. I had a friend in college who it was one of her favorite films. There's not a lot of great ballet films. Just haunting and just terrifying, and yeah, a fantastic film. Next up is Trash Humpers by Harmony Korine. It's crazy that this movie is from 2009. It's absolutely just filth, trash, like disturbing found footage type stuff. Yeah, you're not everybody's gonna like this film, but if you like really weird stuff, this is for you. I think it's supposed to be Nashville based, so I don't know what that says about people from Nashville, but we'll keep going. Next up is Cropsey. I think Cropsey also has ties to the Hudson Valley. Yeah, it's like folklore of the Hudson Valley. He's like kind of a haunted figure. The movie is super, super, super low budget. Check it out if you get a chance. Next up is 28 Weeks Later, which we've already kind of talked about this. This is the one that's not done by Danny Boyle. Still amazing, but yeah, I definitely like the Danny Boyle ones a little bit better, but this one was good as well. This is kind of like the world knows that there is the rage virus out there, and it's still spreading and they haven't figured out how to contain it. So the first one is they find out there's a virus. The second one is they still can't contain it. And then the third one is they figured out how to contain it, but they wanted to feel the virus again and kind of feel the danger again. Yeah. Whew! Bong Joon-ho, The Host. If you love Bong Joon-ho, you gotta watch this. It's great. It's sick. Yeah, just watch that film. Shaun of the Dead is really a comedy, parodying the zombie films, but I fuck with it hard. Simon Pegg is just a G. Edgar Wright, really starting to assert himself as one of these great directors. Yeah, truly great. I think I'm just gonna go down the bangers to just get this over with already. Certified banger, Funny Games, the original, the foreign film, done by Michael Haneke. That film is so fucking terrifying and so freaky. Definitely watch it. Maybe not watch it if you own property or you have a family, but that movie is fucking amazing. American Psycho, Bret Easton Ellis's novel that was turned into a movie by Mary Herron. Super good satire, very horrific, very bloody. Christian Bale is one of his best performances. And also just a very classic film. Like, I think this is just, yeah. It's from the year 2000, so it's kind of a mark of the millennium. And yeah, it's kind of the idea that these rich Wall Street bankers are not good people, and these people who are obsessed with making more money and being fit and being a certain way may not actually be good people. And we have found out since that they crashed our entire economy and have made life unaffordable just because of Wall Street bankers. Single White Female is a banger by Barbette Schroeder. This has Jennifer Jason Leigh in it. I went on a big Jennifer Jason Leigh kick, and I'll tell you, she basically is one of the greatest actresses of the 90s and 80s. So check out any films that she's in, but I enjoyed that film with her. Fire Walk With Me. If you haven't gotten into Twin Peaks, you're not going to like that film. But if you do like Twin Peaks, you're going to love this film. Go watch it. Silence of the Lambs, that's the Oscar favorite that's actually won critical awards. So it gets credit for that. I like Videodrome a lot. Very trippy David Cronenberg film that's not as much body humor, but more digital humor. And the idea that TV is sucking you into another dimension, and it's rotting your brain and it's making you into something you're not. So I enjoyed that a lot. Alien, good film, great film. The first one is a certified classic. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it was a major blockbuster, and if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it, but whatever. Eraserhead, such a great film. David Lynch, R.I.P. Go check out Eraserhead if you haven't watched it since he's died. It deserves another watch. It's really just spooky and bizarre and just gothic and terrible. The Stepford Wives, oftentimes cited as inspiration for Get Out. That movie is great. Watch the original one, the 1975 one. It's really great. The more recent one has stars that you know, but the original is the original, and it's fucking trippy. I like the Stepford Wives a lot. It has vibes. Maybe I'll watch it again because I haven't watched it in a while. Night of the Living Dead, classic OG The Zombie film. You gotta watch that one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just slashery classic. And then Black Christmas is also another classic that you just have to watch. All of those are great. Black Christmas is good because you could watch it for Halloween or you could watch it for Christmas. Sometimes it's good to watch on Halloween so that you're like gearing up for the Christmas season where you're gonna watch Christmas movies. But yeah. And The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, that's just film shit that if you're a filmmaker, you got to watch. But that's from 1920. It's kind of spooky and gothic and weird. Woo! That was a lot, guys. I am fucking tired from going through all these movies on my letterbox, but thank you for staying here. I don't know if we broke this into 2 parts or 3 parts, but this was a long-ass episode. We probably just made it 1 episode. I hope you got some good reviews from this. Maybe I pulled some clips to make this easier for you to watch. But yeah, I have a big show on the 25th. I'm opening for Michelle Traina at the Williams Center. Find those ticket links below. We will be back soon. Please watch some of these films. Tell me what you think. If you have recommendations for me, DM me, comment on my posts. And yeah, stay bleezy, my friends. I will see you soon.